Something I've noticed after working with a lot of business owners is this. Most of them don't have a money problem, they have a decision problem. And I want to walk you through that today because I think it shows up more often than people realize. Once you can see it clearly, you can start moving forward with intention instead of just sort of drifting. Now, here's what I mean. Business owners I talk to, a lot of them are successful from the outside, of course. Revenue's good, the business is profitable, nice house, some investments that are growing, right? But underneath all that, there's often this low-grade friction that never quite goes away. And when we dig into it more deeply, it almost comes back to the same thing. There are unresolved decisions sitting in the middle of their financial life. Decisions that keep getting pushed to the next quarter or after the acquisition or once things calm down. Hi, I'm Ryan Guth. I sold my business years ago. I wrote a book called Permission to Exit. And today I work with founder-led business owners who are trying to think clearly about what life looks like before, during, and after a sale. And here's what I've learned about working with business owners for a long time. Indecision is more expensive than a bad decision because a bad decision can usually be corrected, but indecision tends to sort of linger for years. And during those years, opportunities disappear, tax strategies expire, businesses lose leverage, and families can be left without clarity. That's the real issue. So it's not a money problem, it's a decision problem. I want to walk you through 3 places where I see this show up most often because I think at least one of these is going to hit close to home. If any of this resonates and you want to think through your specific situation, afterwards there's a link in the description. You can schedule a free call with me. No pressure, no pitch, just a quick conversation, help you get some clarity. All right, let's get into it. So the first place I see this is in estate planning. I can't tell you how many business owners I've met who have built 8-figure companies, sometimes more, but still have documents sitting in a drawer from 3 years ago. No trust, no clear beneficiaries, no succession plan, no conversations with their spouse about who looks after the kids if something unexpected occurs. And usually it's not because they're irresponsible. These are just incredibly capable, smart, and driven founders, but the decision keeps getting delayed. Like, I'll deal with this next quarter, right? Maybe things will calm down and we'll have some time to talk on vacation, or once we finish this other deal, or after I sell the company. But life doesn't wait for timing to become convenient. And what's difficult about estate planning specifically is that the consequences of delay are often invisible until they're not. I've seen families end up in probate unnecessarily. I've seen ownership confusion create real friction between adult children. I've also seen business transitions turn messy because nobody clearly established decision-making authority ahead of time. Those are avoidable problems, completely avoidable. Not easy problems, but avoidable ones. And here is the irony. These owners know they need to address these things. The challenge isn't awareness, it's decision fatigue. When you spend your entire day making operational decisions, strategic personal decisions get pushed aside because nobody is forcing urgency around them. But if your business is the largest asset in your balance sheet, and for most founders it is, then avoiding decisions around estate planning, taxes, and succession, it's like building a beautiful home and never locking the front door. Before we keep going, if you're enjoying the video, please do me a favor, hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel grow and helps me get this content in front of founders who need it most. Okay, the second place this shows up is when selling the business. This one is a big one. A lot of owners have no idea what number they actually need from a sale. Not the number they want, but the number they need. There's a difference, and it creates unease during the transaction process. So how do you negotiate when you don't even know what you need out of the deal to call it a success? Because without knowing that number, after taxes, after legal fees, after one-time spending, other family obligations, charitable giving, estate planning allocations, no offer feels like it can get the job done because you don't know if it can. You end up negotiating emotionally instead of strategically. You hear about another owner who sold for some multiple and suddenly you are now emotionally attached to a benchmark that might have nothing to do with your actual situation. Meanwhile, nobody's done the deeper work yet. So what does your month-to-month life cost? What does your spouse want life to look like after a sale? Are you planning to reinvest? Are you going to relocate? Will you be supporting your aging parents? Are you going to help your kids? So without clarity, it's really hard to know whether an offer is good, mediocre, or even life-changing. And this is where indecision becomes expensive again. Listen, I can only help you plan what we've discussed and decided upon. And once the transaction is complete, or in many cases just under LOI, we lose some of our tax and estate planning tools. Don't get me wrong, there's even more to tackle post-sale, but it would be a shame to miss on opportunities because of conversations that could have easily been facilitated by the right professional months or even years in advance. So if you're a founder doing meaningful revenue and you've started to quietly ask yourself what the next chapter looks like, click the link in the description, schedule a free call. We will talk through where you are, what you've built, and what your options realistically look like. No pressure, no pitch. Okay, third place this shows up is in opportunity. I left this for last because I see this at every stage of entrepreneurship. The visionary founder who gets bored and thinks more businesses equals more success. I always think, man, if you would just double down on your main thing instead of getting distracted with shiny objects, you would be crushing it even more right now. I understand risk and diversification more than most because of the business that I'm in. So when I meet a pre-exit entrepreneur who plans to sell at some point, but he's allocating time and resources to 2 or 3 other businesses, it sort of makes me wonder what he's worried about with his primary business. Maybe his risk appetite is lower than he thinks it is. Maybe he's bored. All I'm trying to say is that maybe there's a thread that I need to pull on to truly understand what's important to this person. There's a lot of posturing that goes on in entrepreneurial circles. So we want to feel important and successful. Here's what I know about the most successful entrepreneurs that I have had the pleasure of working with. They are amazing at one thing, and they know what that thing is, and they know that they're good at it, and they are all in on that thing. They dig their moats deep and focus on one thing at a time, and in the end, it pays off. So yeah, most founders are remarkably good at making decisions inside the business. But personal financial decisions feel different. They feel more permanent, more emotional, less measurable. It's easier to decide whether to hire that other salesperson than sit down with your spouse and ask, well, what do we want our life to actually look like 5 years from now? Those are different kinds of decisions, and they require space to think clearly. The owners who navigate these transitions best usually aren't the smartest people in the room. They're the people who intentionally did the work to prepare early. They gave themselves enough runway to make thoughtful decisions instead of rushed ones, and they surrounded themselves with people who could help them think through consequences before those consequences became expensive. That's the difference. Not more hustle, not more money, better decisions, and often earlier decisions. So if any of this resonates with you, whether it's estate planning or figuring out your exit number, where to focus your time, succession, or just trying to understand what your next chapter could look like, click the link in the description, schedule a free call. This is actually the kind of conversation we help business owners work through every day. No hype, no sales pitch. Just practical, strategic conversations around how all these moving parts fit together. Because in my experience, clarity tends to create momentum, and momentum gets owners unstuck. So if this video gave you something to think about, please give it a like, hit subscribe, and share it with a fellow founder or business owner who could use it. It genuinely helps this channel reach the most people and those who need it most. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.